Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is Helen with One Structural, also known as or DBA, Retrofit One, ADU1, and Balcony One. We specialize in multifamily construction as well as some single family. And as the name suggests, we do seismic retrofitting, accessory dwelling units, and balcony inspections and repairs. So today we have a great webinar coming up with special guest, Mr. Byron Alvarado MBA. He is a financial advisor with Strategy Partners. He's going to be giving a nice presentation on if ADUs are a good long-term investment. If you have, some cash that, you don't know what to do with, what type of investments should I do? He's going to go over the ADU option to see if it is something that's right for you, and if it is something good as a long-term decision. So, as always, you can reach us here. This is our contact info, phone number and email for more information. And after our presentation, I will be sending another flyer. If you are here from the Constant Contact flyer, I'll send another one with more of Byron's information in case you want to speak with him or have any additional questions for him. And at any time during the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them in the chat, and we will get to them, and I will present them to Byron or myself. And let's see, I guess that is about it. Again, any questions, put them in the chat. I'll send some contact information afterwards. And without further ado, I would like to introduce, let's see, Mr. Byron Alvarado. As mentioned, he is a financial advisor with the Strategy Partners. He has been a financial partner for, I think, over 17 years, since 2005. His specialties are retirement planning, retirement income planning, long-term care income planning, as well as investment and legacy planning. And prior to being a financial advisor, Byron worked in the aerospace field as a systems engineer, specializing in the space shuttle main engine program. So quite a sophisticated background with, of course, almost 2 decades worth in the financial advising area, as well as I believe he's a landlord himself, lots of experience with this. So thank you so much, Byron, for having us, or for not for having us. Thank you for joining us and sharing some of your wisdom today.
Thanks, Helen. I appreciate it. Thanks to you and ADU1 for allowing me to be on your platform and talk about this topic here. So obviously we were talking, and you were, obviously you deal with helping people building their ADUs, whether it's a garage conversion or an addition. And as Helen mentioned, I'm also a landlord and have done some ADU. So I've obviously looked at it from a standpoint of a choice, building an ADU and the type of income you can get from that versus investing with myself and what type of income I can get now from investments. So that's what I want to focus on. So I think we all understand, the idea of renting out. It has its own headaches, but you can ask Helen more about that. But you're going to get rent income. And so we're going to use an example that Helen's going to give us some numbers on an ADU, and then I'm going to educate you on using those same dollars, what I could do or what a financial advisor could do for you in collecting income from that sum of money.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to be kind of going off of an example of, let's say, a standard garage conversion. We'll give kind of the ballpark number all in, after everything's completed, appliances, materials, planning, everything like that. We're just going to say $125,000 for this garage conversion, keys in hand. And again, all projects vary. This is just an example that we're using, 125,000, and we're going to go with a monthly rental income for this unit of, it could be anywhere from $1,500 to $1,700. It could be much higher too in other areas. But for sake of just being conservative and for the sake of today's presentation, we're going to be conservative, keep it at $1,500 a month potential income, which is about $18,000 a year.
Correct. Okay, so what I'm going to talk today about 4 or 5 minutes is how does someone generate income from investments, the other decision that they can make. So first slide here shows disclosures. As Helen said, all this is for educational purposes, should not be considered specific investment or planning advice. All numeric examples and any individual shown are all hypothetical. And so basically this says, talk with your financial professional about looking at your specific situation of where the money should come from and how does that fit in your retirement or in your plan, income plan or retirement plan. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. So one thing I talk to my clients about, a lot of my clients come to me to plan their retirement. And so it's really an income plan that we're talking about. So from investments, you have to ask yourself, how much can I take out from investments that fluctuate every day without running out of that income? So I want to make that comparison to having a rental income and obviously getting those dollars coming. So I want to make a comparison. So if you haven't heard about this, there's one way to look at it. Is called Monte Carlo simulation. It's a statistical analysis in analyzing investments while taking a certain amount of income out. So it takes a look at all the historical returns of the market and interest rates, and we can simulate these outputs for every 15, 20, 30, 35 years. Now, these simulations are the same no matter who runs them because we're using the same data, past market experiences and interest rate, and they're not guaranteed. So this is a withdrawal rate simulation, and this is how one needs to look at their investments in the market and how much they can take out. So running these analysis, you get this nice chart here. So I'm going to explain to you what this chart means. On the left-hand side is probability of not running out of money from 0 to 100%. Right? Obviously, most people do not want to run out of money in the future. On the bottom, it's number of years that they began taking a certain amount of income from their pot of money. It starts at year 15. Now, on the right-hand side that you see 3, 4, all the way to 8%, that's a withdrawal rate assumption. It is not a rate of return that you may make on your investments when you're taking money out of the account. Okay, so I don't want someone to take a look at this saying, oh, I'm earning 8% in my investment year in, year out. That's an 8% withdrawal. So for an example, $125,000, and we're going to use that number because that's a comparison to what it would cost to build an ADU. And we times that by 8%. So what that tells us is that at the beginning, day one, or the first year, you start taking $10,000 a year, which represents 8% of the $125,000. If you follow this orange line, it has this shape. So what this means is over time, taking out $10,000, now adjusting that number for inflation at 3%, in 25 years from our investments, it tells us that we have a 10% chance that we have not run out of that income. The flip side is saying we have a 90% chance that we may have run out of that income before the 25th year. So that might be in a very aggressive withdrawal rate. That's taking $10,000 a year from our $125,000, allowing the investments to do what it does up and down. And most people think if they don't want to run out of money, that's too risky. So most people start taking a look at 3 to 4% as a withdrawal rate from their investments. So if we're going to use, let's use a 4%, $125,000 invested, and we want income now, that's going to be half. That's going to be $5,000 a year for my $125,000. That's adjusted for inflation, but there's a good chance that you don't run out of that income. What that means is it's a good chance that that $125,000 has enough in the account that's still providing you the $5,000 a year adjusted for inflation over that time. So another mistake is that doesn't mean that you're just pulling the interest or the earnings every year of the 125,000, and that 125,000 is still there 25 or 30 years in the future. It could mean it's been higher, actually growing while you're taking money out, but in many cases, it's probably something less than what you started with. Okay, so that's one understanding how pulling income from investments work. The reason behind that is, and right now is a great example, is if you're relying on that as an income source, right now the market's down. You don't want to sell low, but you need the income. And so that's the reason, because it's called sequential risk. You do not know what the market does when you want to generate income. And so that's why you get these curves. And over time, no matter what distribution, the longer you pull income from at a certain rate, you increase the chance that you run out. Does that make sense, Helen? Hopefully.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So comparing that to $125,000, and let's say we even use a 4%. So that's $5,000 for my 125,000. What I would do if I was building an ADU, I'd say, well, that's one choice I could do with the 125. Or does it make sense to put the 125,000 to get, what was your number? A year?
A year, about, let's say 18,000, just to be conservative. If it
let's say 18,000. Obviously, there's some expenses, but insurance and other things. But you can see the potential income from 18,000 versus 5,000. Now, I would, even in my own plan, I take a look and say, well, the 18,000 is not always guaranteed, but the spread of getting it is quite a bit from just investments. So that would be my advice. It's taking a look at that and seeing those two choices and understanding from an income standpoint where your $125,000 is going to get you more income. So again, these simulations just show you that over time, from investments, a greater chance of running out. So hopefully that was knowledgeable and something that your viewers can take a look to make decisions what's best for them. Again, everyone's situation is different. Talk to your financial professional, talk to your builder. If you're borrowing money, talk to your mortgage person, because obviously that's if you had cash. If you're borrowing money, then obviously it's a little more complicated because you're paying something in the meantime for that. So it increases the cost. But even then, if this was me, it's quite a bit of difference and would point me in one direction on how to use my money today to get income now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Byron. Very, very informative. And I mean, from the sounds of it and, from your helpful diagram, it looks like, at least as an income generating long-term investment, an ADU definitely is a right fit. And even if, it's yielding you $1,500 a month today, generally speaking, in trends, that the rental income is going to rise, year after year. So it's not that many, at least investments aren't my strength in terms of all the variations of them. But it sounds like this one is definitely a good option with what to do with this chunk of money. Is it right for me? Will it be income generating? As opposed to, like you're saying, not all times or years are good to be pulling your money anyways or selling. So it's a different ball game, it sounds like, with the ADUs, and that it's definitely a good fit for a long-term investment.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different because whether it's income now or retirement, or you're in retirement getting income, there's always trade-offs. So again, hopefully people can understand what investments can do in the long run for themselves versus an ADU. But what I do and my firm does is we pull in if someone's in retirement, Social Security, rental income money, investment income money, pension plans, pull the whole picture together, take a holistic view, and balance that with their current expenses and what maybe their future expenses may be, and making sure that they have the most robust financial life they can have based on making decisions today for their future.
Of course, definitely something, I think everybody should be considering and thinking about and taking action towards, because if we're all lucky enough, we'll eventually be retired, and we need this type of financial planning in place. Byron has also extended for all of our viewers a complimentary 30-minute consultation to discuss his services. You can discuss if an ADU financially is right for you, and if it is, come to us. We'll build it for you. We'll plan it and build it. But I will send out another kind of email blast to everybody. Please mention the email, mention ADU1 or One Structural, and it'll have a little link for Byron's calendar, where you can book, again, a complimentary 30-minute consultation to discuss your financial planning. So if any of his kind of areas of expertise are needed, Byron's your man, almost 2 decades worth of this expertise. And as well as he's just a great, trustworthy guy as well. So thank you again, Byron, for joining us today, sharing your knowledge about all of this. And if anybody has any questions or needs more information, or you want to book your complimentary consultation, I'll send another flyer to everybody, and feel free to reach either one of us with your questions.
Yeah, make sure you put ADU1 so I know when you book the appointments where you came from to get the 30-minute complimentary.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Byron. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Helen with One Structural. And this was Byron Alvarado with the Strategy Partners. And we will see you next time. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Helen.